Hello. Let me just put this in here real quick and pin it. All right, let me close this door. I'll be right back. All this extra. Alrighty now. Sorry about that. All the extra stuff going on outside because we had so much snow, so they're trying to clean up across the street. So hello everyone. Let me turn this up. Hello everyone. My name is Hershenia Aria Brown. I'm just going to say Aria Brown from now on because it's just easier that way. Pen name Aria Craig, and you're going to hear a little bit of noise in the background just temporarily while what is that? My water softener is running. So it does that on a timer every day. So you're just going to hear it for a few more minutes. But anyway, hey, Calvin. I just wanted to come on for a few minutes. You know what? When I said I was going to do this topic today, I got more people interested in this topic than other topics before, which was interesting. And I can't wait to talk about bullying because that's going to be a separate, entirely separate topic that I'm going to break down into a few different conversations. But I wanted to just come on today just briefly to talk about how work-related stress, how you can develop stress or work-related stress from lack of leadership in the workplace. So again, my name is Ariane Brown. Pen name Aria Craig. I am what I do is I work with people who are struggling with work-related anxiety, chronic stress, and depression, and I help them find healing through holistic methods to increase professional and personal productivity. I'm also a best-selling author, an Amazon best-selling author of the Single Mother Diary series and a few other children's books. That really touch on the stresses that children and mothers, single and divorced mothers, are facing in these times. In addition, I am a consultant. I consult for organizations and identify issues and risk of high turnover and aggrieved employees and create solutions for building a dynamic wellness culture. So anyway, I want to go ahead and get started and talk about what issues of stress, anxiety, and depression can stem from a lack of leadership in the workplace, in an organization. So I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm going to come from the angle of the organization or the manager. Before I was coming from the position of an employee, which could still be a manager, if you're experiencing those issues in the workplace. But for people who are in management positions, this is more so a topic that I really want to discuss from their perspective in terms of helping them through some issues that they may be experiencing or lack of leadership from themselves in the workplace. So let's talk about, first of all, what is the difference between a manager and a leader? I've gone over this topic several times over the past several years, and this is something that just always stood out. This definition just really resonated with me. A manager uses their power to control, while a leader uses their power to influence. And that's very important. A person who is a manager can basically walk through just to make sure that everything is done on time, deadlines are met. They actually really focus on their employees in terms of their productivity, but they're not really cultivating them. They're really just concerned about the bottom line or whatever their goals are that they're supposed to meet that were cascaded from their own leadership team. And they're basically just watching what people, some of them actually literally come over and watch you, but watching what you're doing, watching, when you're coming in, what time you're coming in, and just being very cognizant of your work ethic in the organization. And not to say that that's not a bad thing. That's something that managers should do, but it should also come from a perspective, almost like coaching, coming from a perspective of really trying to help cultivate and build your employees and your team, because you are only as good as your team. Whatever your team produces and however your team feels good, the morale and the satisfaction about being on your team is going to make you look good and really shine, make you shine in your department. So let's go on to understand how it can create stress and anxiety and depression with your employees. Hey there. So I talked about this a few weeks ago. Micromanaging is a big issue. Going back to what I was stating earlier. If you are a manager who micromanages, this can create so much stress for employees because they don't feel like they are competent. They don't feel like they're adequate. They feel like you're constantly over their shoulders. They feel like they can't meet demands. They feel like they're doing something wrong. And then you start to develop a lack of trust amongst your employees. You have this level of authority, but you're not allowing them to be empowered. They're feeling less valued and there's no autonomy because you are constantly looking over their shoulders trying to figure out what they're doing, and you spend more time doing that than any other goal or any other project or any other activity or whatever it is that you are working on that you need to do for yourself that no one else can do but you, so that you can provide to your management team. This can create a lot of anxiety and stress amongst your employees. Building trust with your team is so important because if your employees don't trust you, they're going to talk about you behind your back. They're going to file complaints. If they feel like they are being harassed, they are not going to want to share in meetings. It just cascades and becomes a whole lot of issues that develop, and it also reflects because eventually, people talk within the organization. So people are going to find some solace or find some comfort in consulting with somebody in the organization at a different department, and that person's going to talk, and then next you know you have a reputation in the organization. And that doesn't mean you're not good at what you do. You just need to change some of your methods. You need to do things a little bit different that's going to be more effective for your team and for the organization, because after all, each employee is actually reflecting the brand of the organization that they work for. So what can you do as a result? Now, I know I told you before, this is going to be really quick because I think that when I do these, I talk so much and I get into it for about a half an hour, and I want to make sure that I honor everybody's time. And also I have a meeting in less than a half an hour, in about 20 minutes now. So I want to make sure that I cover these points. So what are the results of a person who is going through stress or lack of leadership, stress from a lack of leadership in an organization? So employees, again, will feel exhausted from your high demands, and they may have burnout, which is what I actually discussed. I went through an entire segment on that, I think 2 weeks ago. They lose morale. Again, like I was saying before, you definitely don't want to do that because once your employees, their morale decreases, low motivation, that's right, low motivation, it's almost like they feel like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place. Next thing you know, you walk past their desk and they have their resume up and they're trying to hear it. They're trying to hurry up and lower or minimize their screen, or trying to minimize some companies that they were searching for opportunities, which they will do, especially, this younger generation though. Just let me caveat just for a second. This younger generation, they really don't stay on jobs more than a few years. Like, they are just in and out. They learn what they need to learn. They get the knowledge, the training, the education. They look for something. They go and apply for something that's at a higher level, and then they're out the door within 2 to 3 years. Less than that, because I know some that are out the door within 6 months, and they get jobs because it's almost like that is expected for this younger generation. My generation and my parents' generations and before, we stayed on companies for years. Like, we got pensions, we got all the benefits. We were loyal to our organizations. I know people even now that I graduated from high school with, that are still at the same organizations that they were when they first graduated from high school and landed that gig going into college. Or I shouldn't say gig, but landed that opportunity going into college. So it's just a different culture and a different day and age. So managers have to be very cognizant of that, especially when it comes to leadership, because now you have to basically customize the leadership according to what's going on in our world today. Again, they start to look for other employment opportunities. They become angry. They become moody. You see, again, like, they're not participating like they used to. They're not giving feedback in meetings because they feel like you're not leading them. There is something that you're doing that is lacking them to where they feel comfortable with following your direction. So learning what that is, if you have to sit down and have a conversation, well, let me get to that in a second. Let me just go through the other results. They file complaints and grievances. I just mentioned that. Like if they really feel like you are just being, your style is almost like it's harassment, and you might not see it as that way, or maybe you do see it that way and you don't care because you feel like you are the authority figure. And sometimes, when you're at an organization where you are managing adults, so if you are basically operating as if you are a parent and you are talking to children, that's not going to go over well. I had that to happen to me. One of my managers would talk to her team like they were stupid, like they were incompetent. And then she would tell them what they needed to do. And it's like, I have more experience than you. I don't need you to go through the step-by-step procedures with me. I understand. Like all you got to do is tell me what I need to do. And if I have any questions, I'll come to you. Allow me that autonomy and that empowerment to do my job instead of telling me what to do, because I don't know if that's something that a bias that she already had in her head. And most of the department was African American. So that was a whole different situation. But anyway, this when when a person starts to feel stress and anxiety and even depression, they don't want to go to work. They struggle with getting up to go to work. They struggling with getting dressed. When you have anxiety, your brain is processing so much, and you have so much worry on you, almost like with the depression, it's almost like a hopelessness, and with the anxiety, it's like you feel like worry and concern all the time. So now you're not sleeping, you're not able to sleep. So if your employee is going through this and they can't sleep, they have insomnia, they're coming into work late, or they're having high absenteeism, then that is a problem. You really need to address that and figure out what's going on, because again, it might be a reflection of you, even though that's something that they're doing, and it may be hard for them to communicate that because, they don't want to lose their jobs. So that is incumbent on you to figure out and get to the bottom of what is going on. Because again, if you see that this is a trend and this is happening with multiple employees, like more than one, then this is kind of impacting your reputation at this point, and especially if people are talking. Let me see. Oh, and they don't want to meet deadlines, and that becomes a productivity issue. Now you don't have a lot of positive things that you want to share when it comes time for their performance review. It's almost like you don't know which comes first, the egg or the chicken. Like they're doing this because of you, and you feel like they're impacting how you look in terms of leadership. So it's like a vicious circle, and until you get to the bottom of it, then it's going to continue. Thank you. There you go, Kelvin. Everything rise and fall on leadership. And that is so very important. I know you all have experienced or been in organizations to where, I talked about this before, and this just seems to be, I don't know. I want to really focus on this at some time at organizations, because this is a big problem. And when I worked at a healthcare industry, I don't think I ever saw it so bad. Have you ever worked at an industry where there was so much nepotism? Like people were just bringing in folks from their family members, as long as they didn't report directly to them. So there would be some type of separation, or no conflict of interest. But they were bringing their cousins, their aunts, folks that they went to church with, people down the block. Their friends said that their daughter needed a job, so they're getting them on, and without any type of experience. Like you're not even trying to find out whether this person's experienced. And it could be a role where all you have to do is train them, but that doesn't mean that you understand their work ethic. Like you're just bringing them in. In some companies, this is just so bad. That is a huge problem. It's not just a problem for you because you're going to realize that this person really didn't work out, but it's going to be a problem amongst your team members, because they're going to see like, dang, why does he or she keep hiring so-and-so from down the street? And then when they come in, of course, when they first start working, people get chummy, and, you start asking questions to get to know them better. And then it comes out eventually, yeah, I know her. Her and I went to church together, or she's my godmother, or she was my auntie's best friend. And it's like, really? That's what we doing? So, and I'm telling you, when I worked at this healthcare organization, it was like really bad. It was really bad. But anyway, that's part of a lack of leadership. That's part of you not understanding that there are certain boundaries and certain ethics like that you really should be enforcing in your own department. So what can you do to improve? We're down to the last part. As an employee, as a manager, what you really should do is one suggestion. Let me go to the first suggestion. One of the things that you can do is, if it's within, and do it tastefully to where it's not going to violate any policies or procedures or any laws. But you can create a nice savvy survey or some type of feedback sheet, because just basically your employees have to do it, right? You have to do it for your employees when you're doing your performance review. So maybe you should get some feedback from your employees and make it anonymous. I don't know, and have it go to a different party, like your manager or somebody that's in your leadership team. But even instructors do this. You got to fill out feedback forms when you're done with class near the end of your course to basically rate how well this instructor was in teaching the material and training the material. So maybe that's something that you can do. Just get some anonymous feedback with some yes or no questions, not with anything that's going to be open-ended, because once a employee starts filling in this information, you can pretty much tell who it is just by the language and the way that their language on the document. But create like some type of survey that's yes or no. Let them fill it out anonymously. Give it to your leadership team, and then the leadership team can have a meeting with you or even employees to discuss more if they're interested in feedback, in providing that feedback. But this is just, to me, it's not just from the top down to you. It should be from the bottom up to really gauge your performance as a leader as well. I don't know a lot of companies, organizations that do that, and I think that they should. I think that they should start doing it, because it's people who work for a manager have a say so as well. It's not just about that manager judging the performance of their team and their employees. Sometimes, again, it could be incumbent on the manager to make some shifts and changes, because it could be the reason why the department is not doing so well. They could be the reason. Get some training. Leadership training. Every huge organization, I believe, offers some level of leadership training, so that you can get the training, so you can understand how to relate with your team members, how to communicate. Allow them, when you're having meetings, to be part of the solution. So it can't just be all about you giving demands and telling them what to do. Have like that's part of their job, is to learn and to know what activities, I want to say, or what tasks they need to do, but allow them with the empowerment to sit in meetings and figure out and come together to find out solutions. And then they feel good about themselves because they feel like they contributed. They contributed to the solution to whatever problem it is. It could be a process improvement issue. It could be something that's going on with the software. Because I've spoken about this before. You can have a software that's so antiquated to where you have a lot of manual workaround. Because your employees are entrenched with these processes, so they know them better than anyone. Allow them to be part of the solutions to figure out what can we do to make improvements. Let me see. I was saying get your team involved. Oh, and celebrate your team's wins. Whenever someone on your team does something well, it's just important to acknowledge them. Acknowledge that they're doing well. Everybody likes to hear when they're doing something right, when they're doing something that's moving the department and the company in the right direction. They don't just want to hear every time something is wrong or someone brought something to their attention and now you're bringing them into your office. Like, you have to find that balance. But that's all I have for today. If you have any suggestions, please feel free to comment. It's just all about, again, learning and understanding. And there's a lot that goes on to learning leadership. Because as we know, being a leader is like more than 75% of your job is your interpersonal relationship with your employees and with other people. So while you're balancing your workload and trying to manage their workload, you're also leading them and giving them the empowerment that they need so that your team will be awesome and effective for the organization. So that's all that I have for today. Join me next week. Don't know what the topic's going to be next week, but it's going to be something that's going to be hopefully interesting to a lot of people, and more people will join. Make sure you invite your friends. I'm on here on Mondays at 2:00 p.m. Central Standard Time. Invite your friends, invite some of your coworkers, invite people from HR so that they can listen into these conversations, because these are very important. As I said before, I consult with organizations so that I can get to the bottom of why they keep having these issues with stressed out employees. People are taking off all the time. People are on leave a lot because they're going through work-related stress. Like, this is not anything that they are it's nothing that is from their personal life that's contributing to it. It's coming directly from work. So there's something going on, especially if you see it in more than one employee. Aggrieved employees, we live in a day and age to where people are having, and right now, especially during this time with COVID, people are really having a hard time and struggling with what's going on in organizations. There's so much uncertainty right now. Things, I think, are starting to get a little bit better, but we're in an era to where we're still trying to figure things out. We're in a time frame to where we're still trying to figure things out. So a lot of people are basically kind of just going with the flow until it's communicated that they have to do something different. A lot of people have lost jobs, so people are to me, no job is safe and secure, but a lot of people are experiencing less security because people are just laying off left and right while they're trying to figure this thing out. And then you have people that are overwhelmed with work because you've laid off so many people on your team, and now they have to be the ones to their workload got increased. So anyway, feel free to reach out to me, communicate with your team, again, with people at your organization for these Instagram lives that I have. And reach out to me by visiting my website, ariacraig.com. That's ariacraig.com, and schedule a discussion session so we can learn more and see whether or not it's a good fit. Until next time, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you all. Have a good day and see you next week. Bye.